My name is Randy Bishop. I have a syndicated radio show called Your Defending Fathers on Patriot Voice Radio Network. Our radio station puts our show on as Your Defending Fathers because we believe our founding fathers fought for us. They gave us rights that were declared in our Declaration of Independence, secured in our Constitution and our Bill of Rights. And it's our jobs as fellow defending mothers and fathers to protect what they did. I would like to ask the board members that if and when you take this up, please vote against removing the cross. We will support you. We will put together a GoFundMe for a legal defense, if needed, to pay your lawyer's firm, a very good, reputable firm, to take this to court. We will win at the local level. We will win at the Michigan Court of Appeals. We will win at the Michigan State Supreme Court. And we will win at the United States Supreme Court of America in Washington, D.C. We will, on my radio show, call for every patriot in America to donate $1 to this fund. We will raise millions. And I will take this person to court with you and pay your lawyer to do it every step of the way. Because if we don't stop this right here, right now, in Ludington, Michigan, it will continue to go across the entire state of Michigan and our country. And we are not going to tolerate it anymore. This individual has done this in other communities, and he must be defeated. We will have your back. No, actually 40 seconds. One of the things I want to say is this. We are here. We will stand with you. We will fight with you, and we will fund you. Take this all the way to the United States Supreme Court, and let's put an end to this insanity here in America. Thank you.
Welcome back to The Truth is Viral. My name is Bob Powell, and we're on Facebook Live, bringing you a live stream tonight from Ludington, Michigan, where an atheist has decided he's taken offense to the burial marker of Father Jacques Marquette, and he wants it to come down. So the township leaders at Pere Marquette Township are going to listen to public comments, and we're going to bring you that live stream. And later on in the broadcast, after the live stream is over, I'm going to open up the phone lines, and we'll take your calls to see what you think about atheists coming in from out of town, out of state, wherever they might, whatever rock they might crawl out from under, and trying to tell us that we cannot worship our God the way that we want to. You know, folks, the First Amendment clearly states that Congress shall make no law respecting the establishment of religion or prohibiting the free exercise thereof. Now, if the town folk there in Marquette or in Ludington want to honor Father Marquette with a cross, well, that's their business. Atheists got no reason to come into town from out of town and just stir up trouble just because they can, just because they hate God. Well, I've got news for them. They're in for a battle. First, we're going to talk with a man by the name of Mark Gurley, and he is with an organization called Make Michigan Great Again, and they're trying to bring God and the Bible back into the conversation. So we're going to talk to Mark, and as soon as that's done, we'll start that live stream, and that should be about 14 minutes from now. So stand by.
You're watching The Truth is Viral, the only news program on the internet trusted to deliver the truth since 2008. And now, here's your host, Mr. Bobby Powell.
In 1675, Father Jacques Marquette died in Ludington, Michigan, and a large cross was erected in his honor. Now, there's a group called Freedom from Religion. We know these guys. They go all around the country, sticking their nose into things that aren't their business, where they have really no skin in the game at all. I believe Freedom from Religion is based in Illinois. But they go all the way around the country, just wherever they can, and they're attacking Christianity. So don't tell me that there is no war against Christianity, because, folks, we're fighting it every single day. And tonight we're going to speak with Mark Gurley. He's with Make Michigan Great Again. They're bringing God and the Bible back into the conversation, and they're going to fight this removal of Father Marquette's cross. So, Mark, thank you for coming on The Truth is Viral. Say hi.
Yeah, thank you, Bob. I appreciate you inviting me on to speak a little bit about this, because I think it's important for Christians to engage culture. I mean, ultimately, that is what preaching the kingdom was all about, is to engage culture. You think about the major aspects of culture today. You got government, and you got media, and you got business, and arts and entertainment, and family, and so on, education, so on and so forth. And yet the church should have been the one infiltrating all aspects of the culture to make it look like heaven. In other words, the Lord's Prayer, make earth look like heaven. And what we're finding is the government has infiltrated everything, and now we've got a bunch of other people that are trying to shut the church down, like these Freedom from Religion people. And I think it's about time that Christians get a backbone, stand up, and say something.
Amen, brother. The First Amendment guarantees that the federal government will not establish a religion that everybody has to follow. It does not say that there's a complete separation of church and state. That's nowhere to be found in the United States Constitution. As a matter of fact, John Adams said that our government was formed to be run by religious and moral men, and that it was wholly inadequate to any other. So, our Judeo-Christian values built this country. I don't care what Barack Obama says. Muslims had no part in it. But even the Muslims' rights are at stake from these Freedom from Religion people. And they've decided now to attack this cross in Marquette. And what are you going to do about it? What is Make Michigan Great Again going to do to try to save this cross?
Let me just back up a second, just kind of give your viewers and your listeners a little background from where I'm coming from.
Sure.
And why I'm doing this, because that'll help them understand why I also believe we'll be successful. I am one of the directors of the Michigan Oak Initiative, which is part of the Oak Initiative, which was established in 2009 to restore a Judeo-Christian worldview back into all facets of society. We got chapters in all 50 states. Michigan has the most members of any state. In fact, we almost have as many members as the other 49 states combined. So God's clearly doing something in Michigan.
Amen.
But beyond that, my family heritage, my great-great-grandfather was Dr. Phineas Gurley. He was President Abraham Lincoln's pastor during his administration. And those two men developed a great friendship and bond and a relationship to the point where daily prayer was starting to occur with the two men. And they ended up drafting the Emancipation Proclamation so that slavery could be abolished in our nation, because it was an abomination, not only to God, but to our Constitution, based on all men were created equal. So I look at my family heritage and say, okay, I must be speaking up and saying something and doing something. And so with the Oak Initiative, I began to get a little bit of a voice to speak up and defend Christians' rights to bring God and the Bible back into the conversation. And last year I had one of those revelation points where I was minding my own business, taking a shower, and the Holy Spirit spoke to me about Make Michigan Great Again. And I thought, well, we got Make America Great Again. Everybody knows Donald Trump's little mantra there. But how do you do that? And so I began to think of 2 Chronicles 7:14, that if my people, that's Christians, that's you and I, if we recognize our wicked ways, repent and humble themselves and seek his face, then he will forgive our sins and will heal our land. And so if we want our land to be healed, it starts with the church, because it's really the church that allowed the land to get messed up the way it was by basically taking I call it the Left Behind series motive. I'm just going to wait to get out of here, and it isn't going to matter because it's all falling apart, which is not very kingdom-like as far as engaging culture. So we decided to launch Make Michigan Great Again with the idea of 2 Chronicles 7:14 and bringing God and the Bible back into conversation. We will have a heavy emphasis in government only because government has gotten into every facet of society in so many ways beyond what the Founding Fathers intended. And so with that, we were thinking about this cross issue in Ludington and how these folks successfully changed the cross in Grand Haven to an anchor, and how there was a little bit of fight, but not a lot of fight. And we thought, we need to do something about this. So we were going to have a whole bunch of people show up at the town hall meeting, and they postponed it at the Peterson Auditorium because they didn't think they were going to be able to house everybody that wanted to speak. And we're expecting a pretty good turnout. So with Make Michigan Great Again on Facebook, my friend Mark Petzold and I, who's also an Oak Initiative member, but also the founder of River City Patriots, a Tea Party group in Grand Rapids, and he also runs the Sons of Liberty motorcycle group for the state. We did a little video on what's happening and what can we do about it and how should we speak up. And that video's had like 5,400 views in the last 4 or 5 days. We've had 20,000 interactions with our Facebook page, got 1,000 plus likes, and most of the comments are keep the cross, keep the cross, keep the cross. Okay, but how are we going to keep it? And the way I look at it is there is not to be any infringement upon our religious freedom according to the First Amendment. And if another individual wants to impose his religion of humanism, he says he's an atheist, but really atheists are humanists because they believe that they're God and there is no other God. So if he wants to impose his form of religion on everybody else, then that's not right. We need to say something. And so we're going in armed with love and with compassion, but not the way the church has been handling things in the past, where they've got a misunderstanding of the scriptures of turn the other cheek. Turn the other cheek was never meant to become a doormat and let evil walk all over you. We need to be able to stand up to evil like Dietrich Bonhoeffer did, Corrie ten Boom, even Billy Graham, and just consistently bring the same message to presidents and to stadiums. It didn't matter who he was talking to. And we're hoping to go in there and make that case known. They know that most people want to keep the cross, but I think the council, like most councils, are a little scared of all the costs and the lawsuits and all the issues that can come to bear. And I think that that fear of man needs to be eliminated, or call it fear of PC. And we need to just make sure that they represent our First Amendment rights of freedom of religion and don't cower to one man's religious ideas.
Doesn't the fact that this cross is actually a grave marker, wouldn't that bolster your case? They can't go into every cemetery in the country and say, well, that tombstone has a cross on it, it's got to come down.
You got a point there. If this guy succeeds, Arlington Cemetery might be in trouble.
Yeah, I'm sure it would be. And we're gonna do all that we can to fight against this, Mark. And I'm gonna tell my viewers that immediately following this next commercial break, we're going to be going to the live stream in Ludington at the Peterson Auditorium, and I will be having, and after that live stream's over with, I'm going to have a live call-in, and I want you folks to give me a call and let me know what you think, and you can voice your opinion there as well.
I'm Pete Santilli, and you're watching The Truth is Viral.
Do not click away. We'll be back with more in just a moment.
I was invited to make a prayer for this event in Washington, D.C. It was a large event. Mucho people. And I do mean mucho. And I was invited to pray, and the organizer is a television personality who you recognize, not a believer, but he invited me. He's a friend. He said, Rodriguez, I want you to come in. I want you to pray for the event. I said, it's a secular event. It has nothing to do with Christianity. Why would you want me to pray? Well, I just want you to pray. You want me to come and pray for an event that has absolutely no spiritual content? Yeah, I want you to pray. Oh, you want me to pray? You want me to pray? Oh, I'll pray. So they flew me in. It's a large event, and I do mean very large, a couple 100,000 people. And I come in and I go backstage and right there, since I'm going out there next to the Washington Monument, and we're going up, and I'm going up, and the personality looks at me and says, we changed the program. And again, I took that red-eye flight from Frisco to DC. So it's, third caramel macchiato, and I'm looking and I'm going, what? And he went, we changed the program, you're still praying, but in the spirit of correctness, we invited other people, other faith narratives to pray. And he goes, you know how it is. I go, no, I don't, but go ahead and tell me. And he says, well, and this sounds like three guys go to a bar, but you have to see it. It's actually, you can see what I say. He goes, we have a universalist minister who will pray. We have an imam, the Muslim faith. We have a rabbi, and you're the Christian. He goes, you want to pray first or last? Something inside of me said, son, you better pray last to fix all the mess everybody else makes out there in that place. So I said, I'll pray last. With great humility, I'll pray last. So the lady went up first, and she goes up first, and she prayed, and she went, God, you're the God of many names and no name at all. You're the air, you're the wind, you're the rock, you're the leaf. You're the tree. You are everything, and yet you are nothing. Amen. Well, isn't that special? And the imam prayed in the name of Allah, and the rabbi did a good prayer, and I'm coming up, and I'm fighting with God, and I don't know but God is bilingual, so I'm fighting with God. And I'm going, Señor, ¿por qué tú me metes en este lío, Señor? God, why are you putting me in this? I thought you opened the door, no man can close. I opened the door, the door was open, so I just went right through it because you opened the door. And I took a 6-hour flight, and now I'm going, I can't 7 days. I'm going, and now I'm going to go back home. I don't want to pay people. I don't want to make them uncomfortable. I don't want to make them feel. I thought I had a prayer rep, but now I don't want to make them feel bad. How do I pray here? I mean, I had the script ready, and now I'm not here for contract. I'm here to pray. But they're here. How do I pray now? Do I pray in the name of what? The air? What do I pray? How do I pray? And the Lord, Spirit of God told me, just pray like you do at church. Y'all never been to my church. So I grabbed the mic, hit the mic, looked and said, okay, looked at the crowd. Everybody's deer in headlights looking at you and said, let's pray. In the name that is above all the other names. In the name to which every knee shall bow and every tongue shall confess. No other name given unto man through by which salvation has come unto all mankind. In the name of he who saves, he who delivers, he who heals, and he who is coming back again. In the name of my Lord and my Savior, Jesus Christ of Nazareth, we pray.
Hey, I'll tell you what, I just love old Pastor Rodriguez. He is an awesome preacher. He's got a really good sense of humor, too. We're going to join the live stream in Ludington, where the city folk are in front of the town fathers trying to convince them to keep the cross that they've got that's honoring Father Jacques Marquette. And this cross has been up since 1955, and nobody seemed to have had a problem with it until now. And I don't know what to tell you, folks. These atheists just come from out of town, and just because they want to start a fuss, threaten lawsuits and all that other stuff. So let me pull up this live stream, and we will get going right now.
I think what we'll do, we can rotate back and forth on the podiums depending on how many people get in line. It would be handy if we had 2 or 3 people at least in the line, just so we can keep things moving. And again, we'll bounce back and forth between the front and the back. We can start again. It's 3 minutes, and we're opening it up to public comment at this time. For anybody that'd like to come up and start.
Go ahead. My name is Joel Grace, and I'm the president of River View Drive. I'm don't believe this has much of any merit. I don't know if the ones who are objecting are actually have standing to take this to federal court. I do know there are a lot of groups out there that like to write letters and like to cause problems. Contrary to what was read in the paper, they do not usually win. It's important that people understand that there is such a thing as an establishment clause. The cross was not established originally by anybody but the Indians, and then by a trapper, and then by people that wanted to build a permanent memorial. And it stands as a memorial to the person whose name is borne by this township. If people are worried about legal costs, there are groups out there that would defend this at no cost to the township. If the township wants to take the responsibility of defending this, they should look to people who are admitted to practice before the federal court, because this would be a federal court case. And I don't know if you are admitted to the court or not. That's really about all I had to say, though I don't believe there's any merit to threaten a lawsuit. Thank you.
Yeah, I'm Leo Young. I'm a resident of the area for 80 years, raised in the Fourth Ward, directly across the lake from what was referred to as the Buttersville Cross. At that time, or Pere Marquette Cross. I have never heard anyone refer to the cross located on the west side of Pere Marquette Lake as anything other than an action to stand honoring a historic expo, and used by everyone I knew as a reference point. And to me, it borders on ridiculous to think that all the people that visit this area via ferry, resorts, business, and otherwise to this area for 80 years, I've never heard it referred to as anything other than the Pere Marquette Cross and as a reference point. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Mark Gurley. I come here representing a couple of groups from Liberty, River City Patriots in Grand Rapids, Michigan. I'm a resident of Michigan and a resident of the United States of America. This atheist, he's claiming constitutional protection. He's saying that, he's in the minority, the Constitution is there to protect the rights of the minority, which it is. But I reject the premise that just because he's in the minority, that he's on the right side of the law. In this particular case, the majority is actually on the right side of the law. And this lemon test, I have a term for that, pretended legislation. I'm interested in the First Amendment, that basically, Congress is not supposed to establish religion, nor prevent the free exercise thereof. Now, are you folks congressmen? I mean, last time I checked, you were a congressman. Maybe this atheist gave you a promotion you don't know about, but you know what? As U.S. congressmen, you have less rights than you do sitting where you're at. We have a right to express our faith. There's nothing wrong with the cross on public property. Matter of fact, it's pretty normal. I have a question for this atheist. Should we get rid of the crosses in Arlington? Will he stop? Will he stop until those crosses are gone? How about Moses on the Supreme Court building? Could that go away too? How about the Ten Commandments in the Supreme Court building? How about all the Bible verses on public, property in Washington and around the nation? He's on the wrong side. He hasn't been called out yet. I'm calling him out now. He's on the wrong side, Mrs. Attorney. Thank you.
Well, that fixes that, doesn't it?
First of all, I'd like to say to the members of the board, thank you for having this evening so we can come and discuss this issue. And to my fellow citizens, thank you for showing up and taking the time to care about this issue. And to Mr. Kale, if you are here, I would welcome you to our community. Being a staunch supporter of the First Amendment, and in particular the Establishment Clause, I don't even know where to begin with this. This is not an issue of the First Amendment. This is an issue of history. History has no voice. We must be the voice of history. This cross that stands on Pere Marquette Peninsula represents the history of this area. I could go into a legal discussion about the First Amendment, the Establishment Clause, and multiple case laws that would support the cross to remain here. But that's not really an issue for us to decide. The issue is history. All across this country, we've seen historical monuments being ripped down. And being a person of history, I'm a bit offended. Ladies and gentlemen of the board, all I ask is you think about the history of this area. Thank you.
Thank you, Township Board, for letting us come here to speak tonight. My name is Mark Gurley. I am one of the directors of the Michigan Oak Initiative, and we have trademarked the name Make Michigan Great Again. And our Facebook post about defending the cross has had over 1,000 positive responses to keeping the cross. Very few negative ones at all. The other group that I represent, and we had Mark Pezel, who spoke up here before me, we did a video about a week ago. We had over 5,400 views and all positive comments about engaging our culture to keep the monument and keep the cross. My other hat is I am the grassroots vice chair of the Michigan Republican Party. So I will be speaking for Republicans in the room, for the Mason County Republican Executive Committee that's here as well. I have received many, many calls, emails, Facebook posts, messages about defending the cross. Many people from around the state wanted to come. It was just too far. I'm from Grand Rapids. It's an hour and a half. It's not that far, but it's worth coming in. So I'm going to start with a rhetorical question to the board and anybody who's behind me listening. What's the similarity between the devil and government? They both get their consent from the people. And so, with that being said, I do not want to see the cross removed because an atheist who has chosen his form of religion, which is humanism, over the Christian religion or the Judeo-Christian worldview that's the foundation of our country. Likewise, you guys have the power to decide to keep the cross on public property, because as Mark Pezel had said, it's only Congress that cannot make an establishment of religion. Many states, in fact, all the states in their preambles recognize God. But many states, going back to the early 1800s, actually specified what Christian faith you had to be a part of to actually serve in government. Now, I'm not suggesting we go back to that. But I do think it's important to note that if you guys want to have a cross on public property, you can have one on public property because you're not Congress that has the limitation of establishing that religious value. Second, I do want to put a shout out to Mr. Kale, who followed this lawsuit, because he's doing a great thing to awaken the church, as evidenced by the room full of people behind him. It's important that the church finally get a backbone and speak up and stand up and no longer take hits. And to the township board and to the people who live here, I would encourage you, just like you see on the side of the road, the white crosses when somebody's been in an accident, start putting up white crosses everywhere with defend the cross on it. Put it on public property, put it on school property, put it everywhere you need to be, because you have that right to do that.
Can I jump in?
Thank you very much for your time and for allowing me to speak on behalf of so many people.
I wish I would have known something.
My name is Kevin Ray from Rockford, northeast of Grand Rapids. I've seen arguments from those who think the Father Marquette Memorial is unconstitutional. They think that it should be replaced with a statue unadorned with religious iconography or some religiously neutral marker. They cite, as we mentioned earlier, the lemon test. I want to say something about the lemon test I'm not sure everybody's aware of. That was originally devised in the course of a case regarding an actual statute, which means a law that proscribes or prescribes something. And that's what, but in the first part of that statute, as the attorney said earlier, requires that a statute have a legislative purpose. Now, whether such a test should apply to a memorial in the first place is really suspect, since a memorial is not a statute that proscribes or prescribes something. It is a merely sentimental gesture to which the term legislative purpose would never apply, regardless of whether there is any question of a religious element. But setting that objection aside, those who use that test in the case of the Father Marquette cross memorial seem to be ignoring part of it, which says not only that the principal or primary effect of a statute must not be one that advances religion, but also that it must not be one that inhibits religion. And I'd like to mention to that, I kind of tack on to what Mr. Foster at this podium said before me. I agree with everything he said. But to me, that means that it calls for religion to be respected where it rightfully exists, which I think is also very much what the Constitution says. And while I don't claim to be an expert on Father Marquette's life, it seems pretty clear to me that religion rightfully existed there in a big way. Now, we can debate whether the memorial should be changed to make it more clear that it is dedicated to an individual rather than the general endorsement of a religion, especially to somebody who is going to get a first impression from it. But if the present memorial violates the Constitution by way of the lemon test, certainly an alternative that is completely devoid of religious symbols would as well. By constructing a statue or other marker that does not have Father Marquette's religion figuring as prominently as it did in his life, we would essentially be lying to our own children. And if we have to lie just to be legal,
Amen,
then I think that there is something wrong with the law, or at least the way it's being applied.
Hello, my name is Alicia Guerra, and I have lived in Custard my entire life. I'm 16 years old. And I was raised as an atheist. And I remember when I was 10, my dad, we spent every summer at the Butterfield campground since I was pretty much born. And one day my dad drove me down to look at the cross. And I was a kid, but I knew I didn't believe in God. And I remember seeing the cross, and he walked up to it, we read about it, and I'm like, wow, this is so amazing. And I thought it was beautiful, and I loved it. I always just thought it was absolutely amazing and a wonderful piece of history. So now, being 16 and looking at this and all this controversy that's going on, it hurts my heart.
Well said.
I've lived through my whole life, and this is something that I remembered. I've taken my friends out there to see it, and it's something that I would like to be able to show to everyone. I think it's just amazing. If you got rid of it, I think it hurt not only some of the older people in this community, but also the younger people, because they won't have the chance to learn about Father Marquette and who he was. And I know that some like when this first whole thing came out, I remember talking to some of my classmates who were of all kinds of different religious backgrounds, and they agreed with me. It didn't matter. It didn't matter what religion they were, what their race was. It didn't matter to them. What mattered was it was a piece of our history, and we should be able to keep it.
Good job. Good job. Thank you so much. Good luck.
My name is Jim Merchant. I live here in Ludington on Vogel Avenue. You know, I'm a retired engineer, and I tried in my life to keep opinion out of it. So what I'm looking at, as far as I can see, is facts. Our first fact is that has been presented. This is a monument. It's a monument. Second thing, well, part of the first is, it's a monument to a great person who helped develop this country. Now, we have George Washington, we have Abraham Lincoln, we have all these people who have developed our country, and they have monuments. It is a monument. Let's not forget that. Number two, simple fact, number two, it is on public ground. It is on government entities. No question about it. Number three, the maintenance work that has to be done on all of these units they're part of, they come out of our money. You paid for it. We all paid for this. Whether it was the Washington Monument that had $2 million had to be funded in order to repair that, it's all the same. Now, we're going to number four. Number four is, there's a cross out there. It's a monument, but it's a cross. Now, why is it a cross? Because some gentlemen who followed Pere Marquette, Father Pere Marquette, fellows who followed him, understood his religion and said, I'm going to put a cross up there for him. Now, that is a monument. It's the same as George Washington, same as Abraham Lincoln. They're all the same. Here lies this is the conundrum as far as I'm concerned. I'm not a lawyer, so I can't really speak in that, in that field. But if that cross can't be there when I die, and I'm going to be buried in a cemetery. By the way, that cemetery is part of us. It's a community cemetery. It's not owned by an individual. And it's maintained by the city, by the counties, okay? It's the same, whether it's out there or in town here. I cannot have a cross. And I find that is absolutely, unequivocally, a violation of my Constitution that says freedom of religion. Thank you.
My name is Randy Bishop. I have a syndicated radio show called Your Defending Fathers on Patriot Voice Radio Network. Our radio station puts our show on as Your Defending Fathers because we believe our founding fathers fought for us. They gave us rights that were declared in our Declaration of Independence, secured in our Constitution and our Bill of Rights. And it's our jobs as fellow defending mothers and fathers to protect what they did. I would like to ask the board members that if and when you take this up, please vote against removing the cross. We will support you. We will put together a GoFundMe for a legal defense, if needed, to pay your lawyer's firm, a very good, reputable firm, to take this to court. We will win at the local level. We will win at the Michigan Court of Appeals. We will win at the Michigan State Supreme Court. And we will win at the United States Supreme Court of America in Washington, D.C. We will, on my radio show, call for every patriot in America to donate $1 to this fund. We will raise millions. And I will take this person to court with you and pay your lawyer to do it every step of the way. Because if we don't stop this right here, right now, in Ludington, Michigan, it will continue to go across the entire state of Michigan and our country. And we are not going to tolerate it anymore. This individual has done this in other communities, and he must be defeated. I make the pledge to every single one of you on this board. We will have your back. No, actually 40 seconds. One of the things I want to say is this. We are here. We will stand with you, we will fight with you, and we will fund you. Take this all the way to the United States Supreme Court, and let's put an end to this insanity here in America. Thank you.
Okay, everybody, I know this is very emotional and very exciting, but we want to be welcoming to everyone's comments. Let's try to keep it down a little bit, okay?
Sounded like that was kind of welcoming. My buddy Randy Bishop, Trucker Randy. You got to check his show out too.
17 years of my life, so I haven't been looking at the cross quite as long as some of the people here. But to me, it's always been a very important part of the community. And I think one of the very beautiful things about this country is that we have the freedom to choose. I was raised Christian, I might not be as strong in that faith as I once was, but I think the beautiful part is that I'm not being forced to go back to how I once was. And I don't see how this cross is forcing anybody into religion, forcing anyone into Catholicism, Christianity, and it's not being used as a place of worship. So I don't see how it is violating any laws concerning places of worship or how it is affecting making people become Christians or forcing religion onto anybody. Because Father Marquette was a Catholic priest, he was a minister, and if we take that part of him away, he's just another guy who came here and met some Indians and Native Americans, and I think that because it's such a valuable part of his life, because he represented that religion, because that's who he was, I don't see why there should be any reason for it to be removed or replaced with anything that would be taking less of who he was, as it's not forcing religion on anybody. Thank you.
Hello, I'm Jean. My maiden name was Chrisman. I'm a Cumber now. My father was the originator of the Pere Marquette Memorial Association. He was a student at Marquette University Law School. He came over here in 1933 after graduating in 32 and began the Pere Marquette Memorial Association in 1934. In 1935, they had the first Pere Marquette pageant. There was a bishop, Robert Nelson, who wrote the pageant. My father played Pere Marquette for many years in that pageant. I brought some pictures of him in the original pageant. The last one that I recall was in 1955 when we had the centennial. Now, my father was a historian also, and he worked with the Jesuit priests. At one time there was a controversy of where Pere Marquette actually died, whether it was here, Manistee, or Frankfurt. And they went through all the old French maps and established it as the Pere Marquette River. Pere Marquette was not only a Jesuit priest, he was a teacher, he was a mathematician, and he was an explorer who explored the Mississippi River with Joliet. He befriended the Indians. He spoke their dialect, 6 different dialects of Indian. My dad was such a historian on Pere Marquette that I would sit and listen to the many stories he told about Pere Marquette. There was a boulder that was put up in 1921, and this was placed by the Daughters of the American Revolution. It was a tribute to the Ludington chapter of that. It reads, This marks the traditional location of the death of Pere Marquette, revered and loved by the red man. James or Jacques Pere Marquette, noted French missionary and explorer, the first white man to reach these shores. That's history. Whether they put a cross because he asked to put a cross because he was dying at the age of 38 from dysentery, all he wanted was a simple wooden cross to mark his grave. If somebody wants a donkey to mark their grave, let them have it. But it's history. It's mainly history. And all I have to say to the gentleman who supposedly is the atheist, the only people that I know who are supposed to be offended by a cross are vampires. Thank you.
Oh, that was awesome. Vampires.
That was pretty good.
That was good.
Yeah, I'm Greg Collins, and I live in Mason Township since the 70s, and everybody has their own beliefs. You can be atheist, you can be whatever you want. The bottom line is, you don't have the right to come on somebody's property and say you have to take this down. Now, if you have a problem, think there's going to be a lawsuit, you can take this and sell that piece of property for $1 today. That cross is going to be there for the history of the land, and you cannot develop it anything different. And give them a good tax break. That'd be a quick solution, so you guys don't have anything hanging over you.
My name is Shirley Vanderveer, and I live here in Ludington. And it's my understanding that you've had some attorneys come forward to represent you for free, but there's going to be other expenses besides that, and I don't know what those expenses are. But my husband and I would donate $1,000 to help pay for those expenses.
Thank you.
Like others have said, I'm sorry. So, like others have said, it seems a lot more history than religion. Like, personally, I am religious, but if someone feels like they are offended by that and have to take it down and stuff like that, I wouldn't agree with it. I feel like it's unnecessary to take down something just because it's a religion that you don't agree with. However, if something does happen and we do need to take it down, I feel like we just gotta remember to not be angry and to just keep love in our hearts and just be accepting even if we do have to take it down. I feel like it doesn't go against the Constitution to keep it up, but I also don't really think it should affect our Christianity or our beliefs if it is taken down. So whatever you think should happen here, I just want you to know that you should accept each other even if you do disagree.
Hello, I'm Diana Burns. I'm a lawyer at Marquette Fund for Religious Liberty. I'm here from Washington, D.C. Marquette is a law firm that exists to protect the free exercise of all faiths. We're experts in this area of the law, and I'd just like to make a point about the Constitution. Some of these letters you've gotten, they can be intimidating when you read the letters and you hear some of the cases they cite, but the Constitution doesn't require governments to purge all references to religion from the public square. Instead, the courts have been, and the Supreme Court especially, has been clear, you have to consider the history and the context of a symbol when you're considering whether it establishes a religion. Father Marquette, everyone has said here, he was a missionary and an explorer, and there's nothing wrong with recognizing him for who he is. And I encourage the board to consider the history and the context of the cross when considering how to respond to these letters. Thank you.
My name is Peg Gage, and I live in Hamlin Township. I've been living in the
this area for about 20 years now. First, I'm very much in favor of historical monuments. Second, I'm very much in favor of religious symbols being displayed on private property. I'm very much in favor of this establishment clause in the Constitution, which prevents public money from being spent to promote a particular religion. This separation of church and state allows each of these formidable powers to act as checks and balances on each other. In this context, I would like to express my opinion about the current controversy regarding the PM Memorial. From what I've read in the paper, it appears to me that when this cross was first put up, it was not in conflict with the Establishment Clause. It's my understanding that the money was raised by the Pere Marquette Memorial Association, and I'm not clear whether the property was donated to that association or whether it was donated to a government body. But I know that the initial funds for all of the crosses that have been put on that site have been from private money. So the thing that bothers me is that there are a whole lot of people that are willing to put money forth to litigate this issue. And there have been a number of different suggestions on what to do with this problem, but what I'm wondering is that maybe the money that people want to put into litigation instead could be used to revive the Pere Marquette Memorial Association and use that money to return ownership of the property to the private sector, and then have those who want to save the cross take on the financial responsibility for raising funds to restore the current cross and maintain the property without the use of tax dollars. Thank you. I'm not opposed to the cross. I am opposed to public money supporting it.
I'm Jennifer Richard. I'm a fifth-generation resident of Pere Marquette Township, and I live on West Shelby Road. This monument, as is, has been a part of our history in our community, and has been a part of my personal history. I agree with many comments that have been said. I really don't think I have anything to add to any suggestions and ways to approach this. Just wanted to personally say that I am offended that somebody outside of our community wants to bully us into satisfying his opinion of what our monument should or shouldn't look like and where it should be.
Very good point.
Good evening. My name is Jack Daniel Behrens. I'm from Muskegon. I'm a retired teacher, principal, coach, social studies, math. You have a monument to Father Marquette. It happens to be a cross. In Grand Haven, when there was a challenge to remove the cross from the musical fountains, they caved in without a fight. I have the United States Constitution, all 19 pages here. It does not say separation of church and state.
Yep.
I've got a $50 bill, if anybody can find that there. Remove the cross, you execute history. Thank you.
What the Constitution actually does say is that Congress shall make no law respecting the establishment of a religion or prohibiting the free exercise thereof.
I was born and raised in Ludington, and it's my opinion that using the law to deal with personal feelings is foolish and quite frankly petty. Offense taken isn't necessarily offensive. Perception is not reality. What will be gained by honoring this complaint and taking it down and moving it This site is historical. If this was a religious site, I could honor the complaint before building it, but it's already built. It's been there a long time. No complaints. Avoiding the offense is respecting and forgiving our fellow man and dealing with it as part of life. Keep the memorial, keep the faith.
Hi, my name is Erica Sloan, and I've been a resident of Ludington for 3 years now. My husband and I moved our family up here from the Detroit area because we thought this would be a great place to raise our family, and it has been. I just wanted to comment on 2 things. One was that when we first moved here, we were having a great time driving around, exploring new areas, and we saw a sign of a historical marker, and so I took my children because it's always fun to find free, fun things for the children to see. And we had a great time climbing that hill. We've driven by it a couple times, but it was our first experience being in the county that second weekend that we were here in September in 2014, that I took my children up there, and they really enjoyed it. We had pictures of them. Look at how high this is wonderful. I have a concern with people wanting to scrub and sterilize the United States history. I'm concerned about my example would be my parents went to Thailand last year. There are Buddha statues everywhere. That's not offensive. There are also crosses there. There are Buddha statues because that is their foundational, their cultural, that's how they relate, that's how they understand the world. So no one's offended that there's a Buddha there, and perhaps there's Buddhas all over in memorials. We came from a country of Puritans who said we would like to be able to worship God in any way, not scrub the United States of religion. And I'm just wondering if this is that moment in our small little community where we're going to say, I'm sorry that you don't like that this is a historical marker, but if it were in Thailand, it'd be a Buddha, and that would be okay with them. This is a Judeo-Christian, the founding fathers founded everything on Judeo-Christian beliefs, and that has carried us through. It's all within the Constitution, and because someone's offended, let's be quite honest, it's very popular right now to be offended. It's whoever more offended. I'm not offended that someone is atheist. I learned so much from other people, and we can't control what this other individual does. But I would hate for us to scrub our history because someone's offended. Because you know what, next time, they're going to be offended that someone named the PM River, Pere Marquette River. And then they're not going to like that the rail trail is named PM. And then they're not going to like this. And you know, next thing you know, we're going to be scrubbed of all identity. Because I guess my last thought is, right now, it's very in vogue to be pro-Muslim and pro-Hindu and everything but Christianity. So I don't know why there's always this attack on the cross. It's in a cemetery. I don't know. This is just his marketplace. So thank you for listening, and God bless.
Good job.
Hi, my name is Diane Wingate, and I'm a resident of Ludington. I've lived here all my life except for college and a brief time in Grand Rapids. And that cross has dominated, of course, the skyline towards Buttersville that entire time. It appears to me that some would like to create a division between our religious community and those of us who are more secular in our approach to this issue. I followed this controversy fairly closely and talked to many people, both online and in person, about our concerns regarding the PM Memorial and this entire controversy. It seems to me, what I've discovered is that the majority of our neighbors, whether they are Democrats or Republicans, liberals on the left like myself, or on the conservative right, Christians or unchurched, agnostic, and in one case an atheist, are all in favor of maintaining the Pere Marquette cross. While I am a Christian, I hope this does not affect our relationship with those who have different beliefs, whether it's different religious beliefs or not religious beliefs. We need to stand together. Whether it is a religious icon, as some maintain, or a historical monument, I believe that it should be left standing, and I hope the board agrees. Thank you.
My name is Ron Peterson.
also. Please count my wife and I as among those who desire to keep the cross. We're pleased to have our tax money support the monument with the cross. We're also pleased to contribute $1,000 toward legal fees to keep the cross. I believe the Constitution and the law are on our side. Please do not be intimidated by those who threaten a lawsuit. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Lloyd Anderson. My mom wants me to say hello to all the township board. My mom was township treasurer for, I don't know how many years, 40? 43. Anyhow, 43. I was born in Pere Marquette Township, still reside in Pere Marquette Township, and live on our beautiful lake shore. This may be more of a question posed to the attorney. And if we're in a situation with local government law and we're paying the taxes as a local government, how much influence does that have if it goes to a federal level and a vote of the local community as a vote? How much power does that have in the upper court system for our voices at a local level to be heard? Just a question to throw out there. On my way down here, I noticed a gentleman right there, Steve Hall. Grew up alongside of me. His great-grandmother, Dorleska, Phillips Hall. There's a cemetery on the end of Shelby Road and Lakeshore Drive named the Phillips Cemetery. His great-grandmother was the first, I believe, white woman to teach the Indians in the Buttersville area, and she taught the Indians. Part of our history, part of what took place in the Buttersville community with Father Marquette coming, meeting the Indians, and my understanding is the first cross was erected by the Ottawa Indians. They buried him, they erected the first cross. I guess what I'm trying to say is this stuff is just how this area became the area that it is. It's just plain history and monuments and history and stuff named throughout history for us to remember for life. And I hope you support that. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Carolyn Cater. I'm with the Mason County Republicans. I'm also a former resident of Pere Marquette Township for over 20 years. I have more of a collection of statements of friends and family from the area and from my trip last week to DC. So I'm just going to read that. America will never survive the false utopia these atheists are trying to create. Their actions are censorship and stripping of a cultural identity. Upon seeing a cross, it means little or nothing to you unless you are a Christian or a Satanist. This country and this Constitution are indeed gifts from God. No other charter has ever existed in history like we have in this country. The founding principles of the United States of America and her civil laws mirror the code of canon law of the Roman Catholic Church. Without these civil laws and the Christian foundation of America, there would be anarchy and utter chaos, which perhaps this is what the atheist wants. Removal of this memorial cross erases American and Michigan history that not only affects this township, but all of Wisconsin and Michigan as well. This is cultural appropriation at its finest. This forces us into a history and culture of nothing. Father Marquette helped to establish this region, and he loved the natives, and they loved him in return. Pere Marquette's memorial cross has been a constant in an ever-changing world and landscape. Upon visiting the Capitol last week, a member of Representative Bergman's office was eager to show us a brilliant statue honoring Pere Marquette and the Great Lakes states. Will we have this removed also? Will Reverend Martin Luther King, whose quotes often paraphrase Jesus Christ himself and sits right outside the National Mall, right next to the Franklin Delano Roosevelt Memorial, will this history be bulldozed down too? In this atheist ideology, we would have to erase the entire history of the United States of America to prevent a small group from being offended. Well, it's time for these atheists to grow a pair and be an adult.
My name is Kim McDonald-Campo. I have been a resident of Summit Township for the last 47 years. In those 47 years, well, maybe not the first 5, but as children, we rode our bicycles to school. I grew up on South Lakeshore Drive, just a few miles down the road from, we always called it the Cross, or the Marquette Cross. One of my fondest memories of my dad, before he passed away, he had this old junky boat that he afforded a cheap dock in Pere Marquette Lake, and we would tool around and watch the sunset. That cross is majestic. It is a part of our history. It would be a travesty to see it torn down. Thank you for having us here.
My name is Steve Jones, and I do live in Pere Marquette Township on Timber Lane. I've been a resident in the area for 27 years. You can't hear me? Oh, okay. So, yeah, been here for, now you can hear me. I've been here for 20-something years, live in Pere Marquette Township. I guess, and I think you laid it out pretty well. The question is, it's an issue of law. And it seems to me that there's some uncertainty. And we're not quite sure how it will end. But I think the term that was used just a minute ago, stripping us of our historical identity, is a pretty good term. And personally, I kind of like our historical identity. And if we're going to have it taken from us, I guess I'd just soon do it with a fight and not just roll over. So that's my 2 cents worth. If it's illegal, let's find out. And if it's not illegal, let's keep it. Simple enough. Thanks.
I wonder if that guy was a Marine. We never quit, we never lay down, we never roll over.
My name is Dan Caldwell. I live on Buttersfield Peninsula. Our grandparents, my husband's grandparents, used to live in the only cottage out there, the cinder block cottage. Polka dots? That's where we are now. When we came up, my husband was on military leave. We had a weekend, and his grandmother said, let's go up to the cross and plant some spruce trees. Well, those trees are 50 years old this year. And so we connect with the cross, with the hill, with Buttersfield Peninsula. We are very attached to that. Our granddaughter said, we can't take that down. We just heard from a friend a text message. The power is out at Buttersfield Campground. We might not be able to get home because there's a wire down in the campground. And sometimes if it goes across the road, we're like an island out there. And we're alone. But we love that place so dearly. And we've been so attached to it. We hope it remains to the bottom of our hearts. We do pay for it with our taxes dearly, which you know. And we hope that it will remain in some way or form. Appreciate the comments. Thank you so much.
Hello, my name is Jimmy Strange, and you can probably tell by now, I'm not from here. But I did marry a beautiful woman from Ludington. And so we've lived here for the last 3 or 4 years. Being from the South, I've watched the steady progression of these minority groups take our heritage away. It started with the Confederate flag, which means nothing to me but history. I wasn't there, I wasn't the one that did all of that. And it's progressed right on up through Charlottesville, and now it's come to the rest of Ludington, Michigan. And I urge you, in the name of history, and for all these people that live here, love that cross and adore it for whatever reasons, please keep it. And we pledge $1,000. Thank you.
My name is Dan Anderson, and I live about a quarter mile from the cross. Bought a condo there in 14. You've had so many people here tonight say they will donate money or raise money. There are groups that will donate their time and their money, like the Center for Law and Justice, JSAC. So I appeal to you to take all avenues that you can to preserve history of America and of Ludington, because so many people have said if we don't stop it now, we're going to lose our country, we're going to lose our history. So I appeal to you to take advantage of people's support for fight for the cause.
Thank you. My name is Brian Bennett, I'm a resident of Mason County. If I understood right, when your counsel read out the requirements that brought this litigation, if this property was donated to private residents of Mason County, alleviating Pere Marquette Township of all liabilities, and we took private donations to maintain that site and make it tax exempt, could we keep it then? No. It would have to be donated to the individuals of Mason County, and we can set up our own private fund. I will do the maintenance to keep the maintenance up on it. I'll mow it myself, I'll trim it, I'll paint it, but we can't take it down. Thank you.
This community spirit in Ludington is really awesome, folks. I'm really motivated.
Sorry, but I gotta give my 2 cents. I called Mr. Keeson when I first heard what was going on, and I asked him what I could do. I'm 71. I've lived in Ludington my whole life. I was raised in 4th Ward. The cross is what a Christian considers a symbol. That's where Father Marquette's buried. That's what it means to me. That's what it's always meant. I respect anybody's religion, how they feel. I've been raised that way. I treat people the way I want to be treated. I don't think it's right that somebody's offended by a monument that we have gone, played at. I don't believe I've ever seen a wedding out there. I don't believe I've ever seen anybody out there praying. I don't think I've ever seen a whole group of religious people out there. That's where Father Marquette was buried. When I want to worship my Lord, I go to church. When I want to worship God, I kneel in my home. I personally don't feel that we should be detrimental to what other people feel and how they believe. And I'm not going to tell somebody who doesn't believe in the Lord you have to, because they'll find out for themselves someday that maybe they should have. that
They'll
maybe
find out the
they
hard
should
way.
feel, instead of just raising a fist and causing calamities. A while ago, they tried to take our badger away. And we stood strong, and we won our battle. We made a few changes, but I don't feel in this case we have to change what we have always enjoyed. And like I said, I've been here 70 years and grew up in Fourth Ward, and that's our Buttersworth Cross. That's where Father Marquette is. That's how I feel in my heart. And I'd hate to take that away from our children growing up. That's our monument, and that's our history. And I don't think anybody should be able to take that away from us. And thank you so much for listening to us and caring. God bless you.
She said, I'd like to get my 2 cents into. Oh, I'm sorry. Is that better? Yeah. Elaine Mutzel, and I've been a resident for a long, long time. I really appreciate you being here and allowing all of us to give our opinion. And it's been fantastic listening to everybody and what they've had to say, which I firmly agree with. There's one thing that really and truly bothers me about this whole thing, and that's the fact that I honestly don't believe that this gentleman brought this threat to Pere Marquette because of the constitutionality. I feel he did it for money.
Yep.
I kind of think that he is going around the country threatening municipalities that are not able to or don't have a lot of money so that they will settle out of court. And in return, they have made a lot of money. And where does this money go? To go to another municipality. And to make them, well, whatever. But there has to be a way to stop this type of thing. And I don't know if it's by changing some laws or what needs to be done. But I really believe that if someone doesn't stand up and stop this from happening or find a way to change so that it cannot happen throughout the rest of the country, although it has happened in a lot of areas, it's going to continue, and we just can't do that. This country is too important. It has to stop. But thank you so much for listening, and God bless everybody here.
Hi, my name is Kathy Ingram. I was raised in Mason County, left in '79 to join the military, and came back in 2013. I live in Pere Marquette County. I notice there's a lot of folks in this audience that are actually from Pere Marquette. It would be nice if all the Pere Marquette folks would just stand up to show support. If you wouldn't mind, any of you from Pere Marquette, please stand up. I know that there were quite a few articles in the paper, and one of them that really stood out to me was the concept of getting a backbone. Now, I realize that there's issues where you might feel like, boy, I'd rather cave than go at this. And I really would like to ask you to not cave. I know that, as was spoken earlier, down south, they took down a cross, and because they, basically the community caved, the board caved. And I'm asking you, as individuals, to look around, recognize that in 2010, the Supreme Court said that we do not have to be afraid if it was established as a monument. I'm asking you to please get a backbone. Thank you.
Deb Dillon. Sapo, born and raised in Ludington, born a Catholic and raised a Catholic, and attended Catholic school through 8th grade, and never once was the Father Marquette Memorial presented to us as a religious site, but as truly a historical site. I've been speaking to some friends recently who are attorneys and have practiced constitutional law, and they cautioned me to caution the board that theoretically, if we were to take this case to court and possibly go all the way to the United States Supreme Court on the basis or the complaint of an atheist, no matter how the hearing was resolved, that resolution would not preclude someone of another religion starting the whole process over again. So theoretically, a Hindu could start and find a fence with a cross and take us all the way to the Supreme Court, and that could be resolved, and then a Buddhist could come along and do the same thing. So those of you who are really interested in court cases and wanting to fight, I'm a fighter, but I would urge the board to find some other way to resolve this and maintain the cross where it is, as it is. Thank you.
So once the Supreme Court rules on the subject, that's the end of it. Can't keep on bringing suit after suit after suit.
Time to cast out the spirit of fear and all them guys. Yeah. I didn't think that was up there.
I'm Brian Sykes, a 40-year Layman's Landing. If you don't know where that is, it's on both roads. Or Google it. Father Pere Marquette simply and genuinely loved people. It was him and people like him that formed this nation, the great nation we have with its freedoms. Let's remember truth, that our nation was actually founded on that symbol, as many have said. That's historical fact, can't deny. And yet, that symbol does not impose itself on anyone. It does not. So what is the real logic for this annoying argument? Civil liberty? No, I contend that they're abusing people with real civil liberty problems. Civil rights? They're abusing that too. Common sense? Clearly not. Is it a love for others, so concerned for the best of our nation, cities, townships? No, not at all. They could care less. Do you want to fight the cross? I contend your bent is to create dissension and destruction. You promote anger and hate, while liberalism claims to promote equality and love. Deal in fact. That cross is actually rocking your world. That cross is taking you to heart. Atheism is a religion too. Why is that fighting another religion?
Yes. Yep.
It's a religion of denial of fact. Atheists claim love, but suck everyone into hate and dissension. It's interesting, many atheists also subscribe to evolution and the survival of the fittest, denying any creator. Yet, you'll never be as fit as the one that survived that cross. You'll find truth one day, and I ask everyone in this room to try to throw aside your anger and pray for these people.
Amen.
That's what Father Pere Marquette would have done. Board, don't sell it. I think I suggested it. And don't give it away. You have a chance to change history. Fight.
Amen. Good job. Well done.
Now, I feel sorry for these atheists. They're going to learn soon enough that every tongue shall confess, every knee shall bow before the Lord Jesus Christ.
Township, just real brief. We come from a very, very rich heritage. If the foundations be destroyed, how do we stand? Think on that, please.
Good point.
Don't forget, after this live stream from Ludington is over, I'll be taking your calls at 218-548-7742. Just punch in the code 2018, and you too can join the conversation and give the Pere Marquette Township leaders a piece of your mind too.
Good evening. My name is Erwin Flower, and I'm new to the community and restored new in my faith. And I just want one question. What kind of insanity provokes this meeting? If we let some clamor group of atheists tell us we can or cannot worship, we're giving up everything that we fought for 200 years. This country was founded on the fact that people wanted religious freedom. And we don't allow anybody to tell us how to worship. What does that cross have to do with atheism? It has a very large, comforting vision for me when I see it. And I don't know why this whole meeting is even here, because if we let this happen, the Nazi groups can come in and say, take off all the names of Martin Luther King on all the buildings and all the streets because it offends us. That's insanity. We can't let that happen. Some minor atheist group can't come in here and tell us that we can't worship God and tell us we can't revere the memory of someone who worshiped God and was responsible for this community's existence. I hope you guys understand that that's not going to happen. We won't stand for it. We're Christians. We believe in God, and we love Jesus, and there's a reason for us to be here, to make sure that that doesn't happen. The devil's not going to win this one. Thank you.
Hello, I'm Frank Sagan. I live in Forest Hills and Foundry Flats, right behind Foundry. The cross and that, I don't see where we're going to win it through Supreme Court net, so why waste your money? Make the thing quarter acre, half acre cemetery, memorial cemetery, have a committee with the township would have the majority of, and use the money to make the place nice. Why spend money, thousands of dollars to give to lawyers so they can live better in our country?
Ouch. Ouch.
Janelle Shea. I've lived here in Ludington all of my life. And I just want to say that as a young child, I used to take a rowboat with my sister, and we'd row over to the cross and pull our boats up on shore and go visit the cross. And it was an old wooden cross at that time. And it was a lovely sight. We always knew right where we were heading because that cross was there. And then we would go swim in Lake Michigan, of course, and then go back home. And I also remember when my husband was on the city commission, and Gene Chrisman and John Clare and a lot of other city fathers and us would go over May 18th. I always remember the date because it was my son's birthday. We went over there to that pageant, but that was in the 60s, when that was still going on. And I would like to say that I think it would be wonderful, because it is a historical marker, that this association somehow get reestablished and start doing that. Wouldn't that be a wonderful thing? And I also think of the Indians that he was teaching, Father Marquette was teaching. Wouldn't it be wonderful if we had something there? Maybe we've got all these bronze statues going around the county. Wouldn't it be wonderful to have a canoe and some Indians with Father Marquette's figure standing there teaching to them? And he could wear a great big cross on his robe.
from Grand Rapids, Michigan. I'm 56 years old. I've spent quite a bit of money here in Ludington in the state parks, a lot of your establishments, and all three of my daughters, like I said, I'm now hoping to bring my granddaughters here one day and show them Ludington and also spend my hard-earned money in your town. And I would hate to erase Ludington from my schedule, and I don't want to change that. I like Ludington, I like coming up here, I love the campgrounds, I love your beaches. But if you cannot support these people who will put you into those jobs, if you cannot back them, then I can't come up here and spend my tax dollars, my hard-earned money. These people are who you represent, and you're all replaceable. Every one of you are replaceable. And I would hate to see them start recall notices on every one of you. These people are who you represent. And from hearing what the majority of them had to say, I think it speaks for itself. And I hope I continue to be welcomed in Ludington as you grow a backbone. Thank you.
Look, I'm from Ludington. I live across from my name's Mark Gurley. I've heard closer. 50 people here. I've heard 50 people here come out and tell you why. Mark Gurley. I've heard 50 people here come up here and tell you why you should do what you should do. I have not heard one person in this group, and I'm sure there's someone in this group that's here. They should get up and tell us, well, we can understand. We told them why they should understand. Why can't they get up and tell us why we should understand? Maybe they have a good point.
They won't get up because they're cowards.
It's only fair that you hear both sides, and we all hear both sides. Maybe they have a point. I don't know.
My name is Pat Fricky. I've lived up here in the Ludington area about 32 years. And I just want to thank you for having this forum for us. And I want to commend all of you here. This is a community that I can be proud of because you can all stand together in unison, no matter if you're an atheist or a Christian or what. You did it with Badger, like that one lady said, and you're doing it again now. I originally came from Grand Haven. I was so disappointed how they caved like they did. But that was a different situation. That wasn't a monument. This is a monument. So you have a little extra leeway there. And I truly do hope that you listen to what's been said, because there's been some very good points brought up here. And I think you do have a fight. And I don't think that you should cower, because, you know, it's happening all over the country. Somebody's got to take a stand. Somebody has to stand up for what's right. You got to quit bowing down.
Tom Anderson. I've lived in the Ludington area almost my entire life. I've lived in Pere Marquette Township. I've lived in the city. I've been neighbors with some of the people that have spoke here. I've lived in their neighborhood at some time in my life. There's been a lot of discussion here, and I haven't heard a lot of people that ever looked at that cross as anything, as a religious symbol or as a grave marker and a memorial. And I think under that circumstance, I don't see where the law is going to be opposed to even tax dollars being spent on it. I've listened to a gentleman talk about something I've been very disappointed in. I happen to be a big Civil War buff, and I follow a lot of things. Ken Burns' Civil War documentary about history was important to me. I have a Confederate flag. I'd like to fly it. I'm a little bit cautious about it because some people take offense. They look at a Confederate flag as representing some discrimination against blacks. I happen to believe that a lot of the Civil War was fought over a difference between states' rights and federal government rights. Now, the states wanted the right to support a system that did include slaves, but it was a different thing. I've seen a lot of historical markers in the South of generals that I had respect for. They were brilliant tacticians. They lost ultimately in the South, but they were still great generals. And the South chose to honor them, and then they started to cave and tear them down and drop that flag that represented a part of their history from their Capitol buildings in Carolina and different places. I remember growing up here when I was a kid, I used to go down to the city park and there was a fountain there of a little boy and a little girl with an umbrella and water cascading over the umbrella. And originally when I went down there, they were black. One year when it got put up in the spring, they were white, miraculously. Nobody forced them to do that. It was just public sentiment. I guess people decided that we couldn't really have a statue of a couple of black kids in the center of our community. That might have been offensive. As a kid, I kind of wondered what's wrong with blacks. That was my lesson. Must be something wrong with them. We had to paint them over and make them white. What you do can influence people's ideas and beliefs, and sometimes can plant a seed of what is this. I have a t-shirt I didn't wear tonight because it might be a little offensive. And it talks about it. It says, what you find offensive, I find humorous. That's why I'm happier than you are. Thank you.
Has anybody else noticed how angry the girls are these days? It's just disgusting, it really is. Don't forget, after the live stream's over, call 218-548-7742. Punch in the code 2018 and you too can join the conversation.
I would like to see this taken to the Supreme Court of the United States. Because if we allow this to continue, it's a sweeping across the country. This country is going to be taken over by a special interest group and degrading this country. And it's happening. It's been said before, this country will be degraded and go downhill from within, not from a foreign country. Mm-hmm. Also, I would like to see, go down in history, the PM Township won to keep the monument of Father Marquette in their county, within their township. That's real, will be a history that will last forever. And I think that history is in your hands. Thank you.
You're watching The Truth is Viral on Facebook Live.
I'm from Hamlin Township. There was a gentleman that said that he would go over to the cross and cut the grass. Do you mind if I help you? Maybe some of these other people will do. I'll bring the water.
Hello, my name is Robin Focus. I was born and raised in Ludington. I moved away for about 35 years, but the memories that I have of that cross was every time that we left town for Thanksgiving or a holiday, when we were coming up Old 31, when we saw that cross, we knew that we were really close to home. And the park that is along the roadside there, that is a place that we used to have picnics, and I went fishing with my dad on that lake. That cross is a monument to Father Marquette. and it's part of our history. And I don't know how you're going to fix this problem, but whatever you do, I'm with the rest of these people here, and I hope that you will stand up and support us, and don't let them take this away from us, because it is our history. Thank you.
My name is Lorna Kendall. I wasn't prepared to do this, so bear with me. My fourth great grandfather back, his family were some of the first white settlers in Mason County. They have a house out of White Pine Village that was theirs, one of their homes. So the story goes handed down generations. My first great grandfather back was friends with Father Marquette. I feel like many of you do, that's our heritage. And how dare that offend someone else? You can't take our heritage away, and that cross is part of it, what it stands for. Thank you.
Has everybody had a chance to speak that wanted to? Well, I think with that, I'd like to bring a conclusion to our meeting. I'd like to wrap up our meeting here tonight, and I would first like to again thank everyone for taking the time and sharing with us their concerns and comments. I can see by the turnout and by listening to the voices out there that this issue is deeply personal to many individuals. We as a board understand and we appreciate this. We are committed to finding a solution or direction that this is not only in the best interest of our township, but in the best interest of the Father Marquette Memorial. Again, we've got a lot of factors and a lot of options to consider, and we thank you. Thank you for being patient. Thank you for giving the Township Board of Trustees tonight an opportunity to hear. I think it's been a great meeting. Thank you.
Well, folks, that wraps up the meeting. As you heard, there were a lot of great comments. This was really a privilege to be a part of. As you could hear, if you listen to the whole thing, there wasn't one comment opposing the cross, but everything was about staying here in place, keeping it here, and that the board would hear what the people have to say. So I want to encourage all of you who have been listening live and watching, who will be watching this later on, to be praying for the board in Ludington, that they would make the decision that's the right decision and not be bullied into taking down the cross. I'm not convinced they have great legal counsel on this particular issue, as they're staying on the Lemon Law. I think they need to be focusing a lot more on freedom of religion, the First Amendment, and a variety of other things, to recognize that it's only Congress that can't make religion, and rather we get the opportunity in our own townships, our own states, to decide these things. And there was many people willing to step forward to even put up money to help in the legal defense of this, which is very cool to see. I'm not part of Ludington myself. I live in West Michigan, but I got to tell you, the people in Ludington, hats off. They did such a great job. They were so phenomenal, and their heart was so strong, and they were so encouraged. It gave me courage to listen to what they had to say. Likewise, there were 4 or 5 young people, 16 to 17 years of age, who came and spoke their heart, and it was just a beautiful thing. I'm so glad to see young people getting engaged. That in and of itself is a victory as well. So continue to pray to defend the cross. There'll be upgraded posts and updated posts on Make Michigan Great Again as to what we can do and what we can say and how we can respond. And thank you all for hanging in there and listening. I'm going to give you one last picture. It looks like we've got a whole bunch of folks from the Mason County Republican Party who all came out here to stand up and defend the cross in their backyard. Everybody have a great evening. God bless you, and thank you for listening.
Don't forget to subscribe to The Truth is Viral on Facebook. Follow Bobby Powell Plus on Google Plus, at TTV on Gab AI. I'm not on Twitter anymore. They kicked me off because I called Kim Kardashian a skank. I guess you can't tell the truth on Twitter. But yeah, follow us and keep up to date with all the latest news from a conservative Christian perspective from The Truth is Viral. And if you have the ability, please go to bobpowell.blogspot.com, hit that PayPal button. There are two, actually. You can make a recurring donation on the subscription button or a one-time donation under the donate button. And any help that you can provide will be greatly appreciated. I really need to hire somebody to help me because I've got this Starship Enterprise going on here. Lights are blinking and computer screens are flashing, and it's really difficult to do the job of 4 people simultaneously and keep my train of thought as the host. So if I can get just one person, even on a part-time basis, that would really help me out, but I need your help to do that. So yeah, go to bobpowell.blogspot.com, hit that PayPal button, and support us as we go forth to save lives and win souls for Jesus Christ. Thank you for watching our live stream from Ludington, Michigan tonight. My name is Bob Powell, and as always, God bless, Semper Fi, and hoorah. Where is that close?
Thank you for watching The Truth is Viral with your host, Bobby Powell. Make sure to follow The Apocalypse on Twitter at The Truth is Viral. Like The Truth is Viral on Facebook, and if you can, please remember to donate to the cause via PayPal at www.bobpowell.blogspot.com.